Well, hello, everybody. I am here with Tim, and he's just a friend, and he also works for an organization called Gloo that is just making incredible waves across culture. But Tim, give us a quick introduction of who you are and why people should be interested in Gloo.
Yeah, so my name's TMauriello. I work for Gloo. I work for the team that supports associations, denominations. That's how we get connected. But also, like part of the family. I attend a Wesleyan church down the street from the Great Lakes region, and I live in West Michigan. So it's been awesome. Our relationship with the Wesleyan Church has been growing leaps and bounds, and super excited.
Yes.
And I was before this, I was a youth pastor for 20 years, and I was an executive pastor. So when we're going to talk about He Gets Us, like I get you, I get your struggles of church planting and launching and dealing with systems and structures and budgets and all that. I've
Yeah,
lived that life.
you get us. And I'm so excited about what you're going to share. So many of our churches are already starting to use Gloo. And so having this conversation with you is just a blessing. So thank you very much for doing this for us. So first question, who and what is Gloo?
So Gloo is a church software platform,
Okay.
right? Which it's a website. It's a website you log into, right? That has resources to help you do better at what you do. Like the passion behind Gloo is we help the helpers, we champion the champions. It's an organization that's committed to technology. We're a bunch of nerds and geeks, and scale, and really sort of bringing together the collective might of the church, right? And seeing how we can do more together. And that there's a lot of that sort of economy of scale that churches can't access on their own that we provide.
Yeah.
And donors have gotten behind it. So everything we're going to talk about is provided free for you.
Love it.
It's not cheap stuff, but it's paid for in advance. And it's a gift to all the churches that are here.
I've explored it, used lots of programs, Text in Church, different ones like that. This is substantial and this is significant. This is truly a gift from Christians to Christians to help the Christian movement. And so I'm so grateful for this. It's so awesome. So He Gets Us. This is a national campaign. I'm so excited about it. Tell us about what it is and how it works and how we can engage with it.
Yeah, so He Gets Us. If you were awake on Sunday during the Super Bowl or on the internet around that time, Jesus was in the Super Bowl. He Gets Us launched 2 new ads in the Super Bowl, ranked, I want to say, like 8 and 15 on the USA Today, ad meter. And He Gets Us is the largest national effort to raise the respect and relevance of Jesus. It started in the hearts of some generous donors and leaders in business to ask the question: how did history's greatest love story become so misunderstood? And literally, it started in March of last year, right? So we're just about 1 year old with He Gets Us. And sometimes I'll say I work for Gloo, and Gloo is a technology partner and heavily embedded with He Gets Us. We get the resources out to churches. We're in market. A lot of the other organizations that partner with He Gets Us are all the ad firms and communication firms. And what started as the ads, I think what they've really recognized is that that's the beginning of the conversation, right? Getting people's attention. The ads are built for people outside the church. If you've never seen them, the YouTube channel has all the ads, and some of them are sort of evocative or provocative. Some are clever. Sometimes they do stuff in market that's like we were at a hockey game giving out towels that said Jesus forgives everyone, even cross-checkers. So there's some cleverness to it. But they've recognized that that's the start of the conversation, right? And most people see the ads. And but when you go to the He Gets Us website, again, built for people outside the church, spiritually curious, there's deeper dives into all the articles and discussions, which leads to another deeper dive to Bible reading plans, and then the ability to connect to a church. And what that's grown is then the passion to resource the churches. What most people don't realize is how much resources He Gets Us has created specifically for churches. And I know we'll talk about some of those later.
There was an ad in the Super Bowl by He Gets Us. We were watching it on a big old jumbo screen. I'm a sponsor in our youth group. And so I'm there with the youth group kids, and we all stopped and looked at this ad because it had people like angry at each other, shouting at each other, and it was quiet, but you just looked at it in the intensity of it. And then all of a sudden at the very end, he gets us, it was so excellent. And it created one of the things that we teach in evangelism when we visit churches and teach on evangelism. We talk about how people become curious of you, and then they'll become curious of your Jesus. And He Gets Us is a campaign that helps people become curious of Jesus, and then they can become curious of, the church and all that. But so oftentimes they're distracted by so many different things. Walk us through. You showed me this earlier. It's powerful.
Yeah. So let me share my screen here. I'll show you this. So, make this big. So for He Gets Us, there's two objectives. One is to raise the respect and relevance of Jesus in our culture, right? So that's why they're really presenting the biblical Jesus, what He said, what He did. People resonate with that. Sort of as it's in the Bible. The best example of that, if you go to the YouTube page and look up the AI video, they simply used the description. They asked the AI to create pictures based on how Jesus described love, and it's beautiful.
Wow.
So they're trying to help those people to just sort of, let's talk about who Jesus is in the Bible, but then to inspire Christians to best reflect Jesus' love in their interaction with others. We know this in the church world. You can't see a research agency not talking about, we know that culture is spiritually open, but becoming more disconnected from the church.
Yeah.
And so we kind of see it through this two-bridge analogy, which is when you've grown up in the church, right? There is the bridge, the sin gap between us and God, and Jesus fills that gap. But there's a bridge before then. I had a pastor called it the credibility gap. You could look at it as the respect gap. And it's people have to cross that bridge before they're ready to engage with the church, before they're ready to sort of engage with Jesus as the Son of God, right? Their Savior. And He Gets Us is thinking about those people who need to cross that gap, right? And it's an inspiration for all of us. And it also helps us see and learn how best to communicate with those people, and equips people to communicate with people. So that's where the merch comes from, right? It's a conversation starter. It's a way for after the ads and somebody's at work and they're talking about the ads, equipping people to recognize that they're in the part of someone's faith journey, there's two gaps they have to cross over. And that's who He Gets Us is really thinking about in all their creativity.
Man, that's so smart. And it's so needed in our society today. That's so good. That's so good. And churches can use these in their own settings and for their own people to create curiosity in their own people. That's so good. Yeah. Yeah. Now, how would a church planter, pastor, use Gloo?
So one of the big applications that we have in Gloo is it's a texting platform.
Okay.
Right. So we haven't really talked about that, but we have unlimited free texting, and we used to charge for it. We think it's a very competitive application in the market, one of the best in the market that we used to charge for. And it's now free, completely free, paid for by donors for two reasons. So at the end of the sort of strategy of He Gets Us is that somebody who's reading on the website clicks a button and says, I'd like to connect to a local church. And we call that person an explorer. So churches who are using Gloo and are receiving explorers, it's the thing you can turn on, they get contact from that person, whatever it is they want to talk about, it comes in via text. So to enable that, it makes sense to pay for the texting, right? Because you have to have the texting enabled. Also, when we talk about like collective might and economy of scale, the numbers change, but Gloo probably pays 1/5 of what a church would pay for texting.
Oh, wow.
Right. So, and business-minded donors get this, right? So someone that's well-resourced, that God has blessed, right? They give $100,000 to Gloo, right? Which gets passed on in free texting, which unleashes $500,000 in kingdom money.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're going to be paying for texting, you can transfer that budget to local outreach efforts, things that don't happen by scale, or provide texting to a church community that could never afford it.
Yeah.
So That's what we talk about, our collective might and scaling and resourcing churches. So we have this unlimited texting platform, and it integrates with church databases like Planning Center, the Rock, and all that. And it has unlimited keywords, unlimited users, and like unlimited groups. You can make subgroups with it.
Yeah.
So back to, you think about a church planter, right? And if we skip a step, let me know. But like, right, so someone God puts a call in their heart to plant a church.
Yep.
They can go and create a church account even before they know the name of the church with Gloo, right? It could be John Freed Family Ministries, right? Or maybe you've got this name, right? And as you're building support, right? As you're building support, you can use texting to regularly engage with people, right? As you're building then maybe a launch team,
Yep.
right? You can use the texting to engage them. You can create, as you're meeting with people, right? You can have an info card with keywords or a QR code to find out more about our vision or what God's called us to do or our history. You can use keywords, right? So you can use all of this as you build.
Yeah. Well, right out of the gate, a church planter is going to build that intercessory team. And this is a fantastic way, real-time intercessory team people can be receiving those prayer requests like right now and engaging. And so I just absolutely love that.
Yeah, and we've got a prayer module built in. So it already knows if someone texts, when you have your free 800 texting number, if someone emails in and says, "Can you pray for?" it automatically routes it to the prayer inbox.
Wow.
And you can have prayer team members, and this goes for church, established church planner, where you can say, "Oh, this volunteer, whoever is on our prayer team, I've only given them access to read those texts," right? They can't text everyone, but they can get those prayers, and you can assign prayers to a person. You can mark if it's been prayed for. You can track it. You can respond to people. So the prayer module is ready to go, fully built in. And think about that. Like, so you're planning a church.
Awesome.
What if it started with going around to the businesses, the schools, the community leaders, and say, "We want to be praying for you. I've got a team that wants to pray for you." Right. And so if you text this number, we're going to pray for you, and we're going to respond, and we're going to let you know when we prayed for you.
Yeah, right? That's awesome.
And your launch team. And so, you've got this communication tool, and you're also getting practice in it. Right. So as you're growing, you're used to being on platform.
Right.
And
can I say something about that? Because sometimes people are afraid to start something new like this. Like, oh man, this just seems like a lot. And you gave me permission. Hey, get on there, explore, but then just create like one little group that you're texting, and it will just, you'll just start adding people until it grows. And you'll be used to the platform. That's a key part in people trying something new or moving into this direction. Where do I begin? How do I start?
Yeah, you can't break it, and it's a gift, right? So like, you play with it, and you can create groups. People can be added to groups. You can download materials. We've got a great support team, right? There's all these things you can do to sort of be regularly using it. And because it's unlimited, right? You can mess with. The only thing you can't, we'll talk later, right? That Explorer connection. Right, where someone says, "I want to talk to a church," and you've clicked and turned that on. That's the only thing you want to make sure you're ready for, because it's real people who are really hurting and turning to the church.
Yeah.
But have fun with the texting.
Yeah, I asked you this earlier, this Explorer thing, and maybe we can get into that of how can a church use texting. This Explorer thing, how many do you expect to get of these Explorers a week? If I were a church or a church planter and I turn this on and I start opening myself up to people on the internet to seek out to me for spiritual advice, or what do I do? How many?
So the goal is around one per day, but you have the ability to limit it, right? So and so the way this works is, think of it as a funnel. So Gloo has multiple ministry partners. So we've got He Gets Us, but also K-Love, right? So K-Love has their incredible prayer teams. And if someone, after talking to a K-Love prayer person, wants to talk to a church, that'll funnel in. We have one called Church's Care that really deals with some of the more mental health relational issues, and uses a lot of search engine optimization. So someone, Google's, struggling in my marriage, and an ad pops up. Relationships are hard. Church's Care. Church's Care has professional counselors have resourced that, gives them items, but say, would you like to talk to someone local, talk to a church? So all of those funnel in as an explorer.
Yep.
And right now we're routing those to someone with under 20 miles. So you won't get an explorer from Idaho. You would get them from Michigan. In some rural areas, it expands to 30 miles.
Okay.
We would love to see that shrink to 10 miles. Right. Mm-hmm. So depending on the number of explorers and number of churches, some churches were getting 1 to 2 a day. Others were getting 2 or 3 a week. And again, you can pause it, right? So let's say your whole church is going to, the Wesleyan gathering, like we were down there in January, right? You can pause explorers and say, we're not going to be able to answer them as much. So we're going to put it on pause, or we're going to set our limit to 3.
Yep.
And then you can also enable volunteers, right, in the app to be able to answer those. So you're not going to get inundated. And there's even tools in helping people respond. But this is where, right, so this is where one of those features that when you think about a church planter to a church that's been established for 20 years and has 20 staff, right? Even if a church planter is like, you're meeting once a month, right? But what does it communicate to your church and your people that you're already caring for the community?
Yeah.
Right. And you're receiving those explorers and helping them and walking through life with them. So it really works at every end of the spectrum.
Man, that's so powerful. I absolutely love that. And what a great tool that is. And it's controllable. You know what I mean? Like it's not something that that's going to be unbearable. I mean, you guys have really thought through that. Let's talk about what are the 3 challenges leaders will face in using technology to reach the spiritually curious.
So we talk about, right, especially he gets us when you think about people who are outside the doors of your church, right, and they're not following your church's social media.
Yep.
Right. How do you connect with them?
Right.
And so there's probably 3 big things. One is including that in your discussions and strategy, right? So you're going to talk about discipleship. You're going to talk about a lot of churches spend a lot of effort, as they should, right, on like, how do we treat and welcome guests, right, when someone comes in new. So you part of it is the awareness and saying, okay, how are we going to reach people outside the church? And so that might be, how do we help our people share on their social media? One of the things he gets us is really great about is not just their social game, but how it encourages people to do theirs. The best example of that is, anybody in America can go on hegetsus.com and click give love, get merch. They'll send you a hat, a t-shirt, and a sticker. You commit to forgiving someone, caring for someone. You can't put a credit card in. Yeah. So a guy a few months ago got some free merch, posted it on social media and said, I didn't buy this with money. I bought it with love. So today I'm choosing to forgive the man who shot and killed my mother. And he listed the date. He gets us, and if he had told his pastor that story, the pastor was like, and the pastor shared on the church would go nuts. Yay, Jesus, this is amazing, right?
Yeah. But
it's on his social media. So his neighbors, his friends, his coworkers. So how do we help our people? So it's thinking that way, right? How do we, like you were saying, how do we help people get to know and respect us, right? Outside the walls of the church so that they might walk in. The next is accepting that, like with He Gets Us and other campaigns, it won't have your name on it, right? You can create all the social media you want as a church. It's not going to affect the reach of He Gets Us. I was thinking about a fascinating stat. Some people are like, wow, that was a lot of money for Super Bowl ads. If He Gets Us had split up all the money from the Super Bowl ads and bought a gift for every church, it wouldn't pay for a welcome sign.
Yep.
Right. There are 300,000 to 400,000 churches in America.
Yeah.
Right. And so we have now talk about the collective might, this ad campaign that people are talking about or whatever. And so to take advantage of it, you just have to accept that it doesn't have your church's name.
Yep.
But it's going to bring people to you.
That's right.
And then I found that a lot of churches, in my experience, are scared of marketplace terms. This is an odd one, right? But if every time you use the term marketing, right, somebody's like, well, what do we mean? And you have to, it's really storytelling. But there's a lot of resources out there in the world when you use terms like lead generation, marketing, um, lead measure, lag measure. When you can embrace some of those terms, those can point you to resources and strategies, kind of in a way that can help you understand, because that's the world that's trying to reach people outside the room. So those are three things I would recommend.
And that's so good. That's good. That's so good. Well, let's finish this up. How do people sign up for Gloo?
Yeah, so let me show this on the screen again. So on the screen is a QR code and a link. And what this does is it connects a church that signs up to the Great Lakes region, so that not for any kind of like, big brother, it's we can get statistics then on how is the Great Lakes region doing as it reaches explorers. What sort of general questions do they have when they come in? Who's on platform and how are they using it, which could allow John to help network churches to help each other and support each other. So this is the best way to sign up. Just access the link, hopefully in the email and everything you send out. John will be sending links, but that's the best way to get signed up. It takes about 60 seconds. And then once you're in, there's prompts. It'll take you about 2 minutes to unlock free texting. And then you'll be good to go with all the resources and all of the He Gets Us resources.
Man, that's so good. Thank you so much, Tim, for this information. This is absolutely wonderful. Appreciate you. It's okay to give people your contact information. So I'm going to be sending.
You bet.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now I will, but not that I'm getting inundated. We have a great customer success team. And when someone signs up, they're going to get sort of that auto-generated email introducing you to who their person is.
All right.
But
So
they're a real person, right? And so that'll also be someone they can connect with. But I'm here. I'm committed to you guys. Like, somebody needs something that doesn't know where to go, absolutely feel free to reach out.
Man, that's awesome. So they're going to get that direct person who's going to be able to help them navigate this and get this going. Because I know you've been a great friend in this for us as we've kind of explored this, started using this for our church planters and our multiplying leaders. So I really appreciate this, Tim. Thank you so much for introducing us to Gloo today.
Yeah, and thanks for what you're doing. We love, man, this is the best that we get to support you and all the churches here. It's like an absolute honor and a privilege to do what I get to do.
Thank you.